Man United won, Chelsea won. 90 minutes of football I'll never get back. 90 minutes of my life I'll never get back. And to encompass everything into one, let's talk about the worst Premier League winger of all time, Garnacho. Yes, I mean it. The worst Premier League winger of all time. From all the wingers I've ever seen, the one characteristic I can always pull out for you is that wingers take their man on. Wingers try to push themselves forward. They try to make a difference in the game. But when trying to make that difference, the one thing that they always have is they like to dribble past players. And also, a player of Garnacho's profile that is not a left winger, but actually a left forward. A left forward has many goals, assists, if not technically the best. So, what does Garnacho offer? From everything that we have seen this kid play in our team for now 2 years. So that was 22, 23, 23, 24. This is into his third season essentially, maybe second season as a starter. What difference do you see between Garnacho and all the other wingers in the Premier League? Number one, other wingers are more cultured. Number two is that Garnacho is also a liability on defense. So it's not just offensively that he's poor, but also defensively. You think about it, the yellow card Casemiro got at the end. You saw how angry he was. He was pissed off at Garnacho for not tracking back. So you would say, if you're not good offensively, at least offer us something defensively. But Garnacho doesn't do that either. And how many times did Garnacho get the ball? And you would think, Old Trafford, left winger, you think of Ryan Giggs, players who'd actually take their man on. But no, this guy, he gets the ball, there's space ahead of him. Apparently, he's fast. But then he turns around and passes it back to Mazraoui or to Dalot, whoever is on his side. When it comes to him thinking for himself, he's completely lost. He doesn't know what to do next. And same time, it's not just him. There were other players as well. First of all, Garnacho I saw was a liability on a different level. I've never seen a player as bad as this. In the 10 years of me watching football, I've never seen a single player. This goes for any club I've watched. Never seen a player as bad as him. And the second player I'd like to mention again is Manuel Ugarte. I mean, for a midfielder, you would expect that they could control the midfield better. And even if you can't control the midfield better, you're a midfielder. And passing is probably the biggest attribute of a midfielder. Now, how can you lose possession, not just anywhere, but in the crucial part of the field? In the middle, in the pivot, where you're expected to actually master the ability to pass. If you take Casemiro, for instance, if you take even Caicedo, Lavia, they had two things on point. Number one, they would dribble their way out of trouble. And number two, their passing is on point. That is what you would expect of a midfielder. Now, out of the four midfielders in the pivot, Ugarte was leagues below everybody else, was nowhere in contention compared to the other three midfielders. And obviously, Caicedo and Lavia absolutely bossed our midfield because they got past whatever our false press was with our front four. And there was a vacancy between Bruno Fernandes and Casemiro and Ugarte. Because Casemiro and Ugarte, maybe this could be a RUUD tactic, I don't know. And by the way, I'm going to get to that. But Bruno was too far up and he was more closer to Rasmus Højlund than he was to Casemiro and Ugarte in deep. And the thing was, with Casemiro and Ugarte, they were almost babysitting Lisandro and De Ligt in centre back. And that whole tactic blew everything away because we know Chelsea is technically good. So if you want to counter Chelsea's technical ability, then the one thing you do not want to do is just sit back and let them control the midfield, which is what they try to do. But I will give us credit for one thing, if anything. We were able to bring them down to our level to a point where things were just here and there and the game was not being played as they would like to. Like Chelsea would have liked to play this as they played every other game so far, where they have possession, where they can play the ball properly. But we caused too much disruption to the point that Chelsea didn't know what they were doing. We did not know what we were doing. And when it comes to chaos, we are the best at it. Case in point, last season, Old Trafford Chelsea game was 2-1, and we probably played better, but that's only because we played this chaos football. It wasn't because we played outstanding football. The FA Cup game against Liverpool, 4-3, exact same thing. The only reason we won that was because it was a chaotic game. If that was a cultured, proper football match, we'd have probably lost that as well. And we did the same thing today. We made it so it wasn't due to our amazing footballing ability. It's just because we made the game so chaotic, and the other team is not too used to playing chaotic. It played into our hands. And today was no different. But at the end of the day, this was one of the worst 1-1s I've ever seen in my life, because this could have been so much better. The potential was there. Before the game, I was positive. I thought we were going to score 3 or 4 goals, to be honest. Why? Because, for starters, I did not expect this manager. I did not expect RUUD to start both Hoyland and Garnacho together. I would have thought, okay, maybe you have Hoyland and then you have Ahmad. Or maybe you have Zirkzee in there and then you have Hoyland with him. But no, this manager went with the tried and tested, tried and failed, in fact, tried and failed lineup of Rashford, Garnacho, and Hoyland. We better not see this against Leicester, by the way. We better change the front three. Because the second Ahmad came on, you could see the wings had a bit more life to it. Now, though I would have substituted Garnacho myself instead of Rashford, because Rashford was poor, yes, but then he was better than Garnacho on net, I would say. And also, let's talk about Hoyland. His weak link-up play. I keep hearing people talk about how Rasmus Hoyland is a striker who's going to change everything. What did he do today? No, you know what? Forget today. Every time I've seen him on the pitch since, let's say, March, what does he offer very differently to other players? Even Zirkzee. Zirkzee has good link-up play. Zirkzee can hold the ball up. On the other hand, what does Hoyland do? What does Hoyland do that's so different from the other players that puts him a level apart? In fact, I would say he's very clumsy with the ball. Anytime the ball comes into him, it balloons off him. It's like your average Bruno shot. Like you'd expect it to go at least near target, but then it goes all across the stadium. Same thing with Hoyland. Anytime the ball comes to him, he has that Lukaku touch, if you know what I mean. The second the ball comes to him, it just trampolines off him, and then you don't get the ball back. And the truth is, that's not something you can develop either, because these are things that come instinctually, and if they don't come instinctually, then you're going to struggle. And that is the case with Hoyland, because you'd expect Hoyland to be of a certain level. You bought him for 70 million. I can't even believe 70 million. You bought him for 70 million. You'd expect a certain level of player. You don't want to have to coach him. Now, you know what? Forget 70 million. He played for Atalanta. He should have a certain skill set with him. Unfortunately, he doesn't. In that case, if he doesn't have the skill set, what do you do? Oh, I know. If he doesn't have the skill set, why don't you just drop him? That's what would make sense. But instead, we keep playing the same players again and again and again till it goes to the ground. And even then, let's talk about RUUD. Everybody, and even I would include myself initially, thought maybe why not give RUUD till the end of the season and then we can find a new manager. Truth is, it's come to the point where I'm glad that we got Amarim when we did, that we paid the money. That if RUUD stayed in, it's not looking good. Because, for starters, his midfield tactics were off. Because, yes, we had midfielders in their positions, but the line was too deep. The midfield line was way too deep. It was almost sticking together with the centre backs and the full backs. And the fact that he did not make a substitution till the 70th minute is a big red flag as well. Like, as a manager, as somebody who's won a trophy with PSV, I would expect that he'd have some kind of knowledge of when to make substitutions and the players to pick in the first place. Like, what does Garnacho offer you? You know what? I think I've understood finally. I don't think all these managers wanted to select Garnacho. I think he has it in his contract that he has to start. because nothing else would explain how he keeps starting after all the atrocious performances he has. He's by far the worst Premier League winger ever, and he keeps starting for United. Like, what's the logic behind that? But anyways, this was Man United 1, Chelsea 1. Amorim will be in soon. Can't wait for November 11th. Once he's in, we can actually see some proper football. The one problem I have with this team is the players rule the team right now. And the one thing you want is that the manager takes control over this team, or rather, head coach, let's say. Head coach should take control over this team. And Amorim could be that guy, but then no matter what, after the whole Ten Hag thing, after backing him a lot, I'm going to say we have to wait. And if Amorim does not show a style of play within the first 5 months, sack him as well. Because we can't keep waiting again and again. We can't rely on ideas and hope for some kind of luck. We need to make that happen. And so Amorim has 5 months to show me that he can implement a style of play. Not results, style of play. If you can implement a style of play, then I'm on board with whatever you want to do. Anyway, that was Man United 1, Chelsea 1. When you consider the entire game on net, it probably wasn't a good draw. We probably should have won. Why? Because we were the home team. Not because we deserved it, but just because we were the home team. And next up, we have PAOK in the Europa League. You'd expect you'd win that. And then Leicester after that, you'd win that again. And then we're on to Amorim after that. So till then, see you guys and see you all after PAOK.